You're good. You got 4 here?
Got 4 here already. Good to go. Hello everybody and welcome to the live stream out there on YouTube. So, real quick, for anybody who's watching this on the playback, tonight's live stream is going to be making a pair of pickup tongs. I already did a previous video on this earlier on, I think last week it was. And I'm going to be going ahead and making another set so this way I can answer your questions. Also, later on in this live stream, I'm going to be giving away a pair of tongs that we made in our previous live stream where everybody had said, I'm a nut. So I hope everyone's doing well out there. I got Jessica on the camera in the backlog here.
Hey guys. Let's see, Shadowcaster says evening.
Good evening, Shadowcaster.
Mike and Sarah say happy Friday.
Happy Friday indeed. I'm glad my week is over. Well, it's actually just beginning, but glad it's Friday.
Let's see, Mark S says hello from upstate New York.
Hello, Mark S from upstate New York.
So we've got North Dakota, Nova, Campbell, Kentucky, Indiana.
Awesome, awesome. Good to have everybody here.
Let's see here.
Before we get going, is the live stream doing good? Everything looks smooth, no choppiness, good audio?
There's a few comments at the beginning that it looks like it might be locking up, so we'll have to see if that clears up for you guys.
Okay.
We got 40 so far.
Alright, good to have everyone here. Have 40 so far. So the tongs that we'll be giving away this evening are these pair of bolt jaw, bolt jaw tongs. We'll be giving away a pair of these bolt jaw tongs that we made in the previous live stream. We're going to draw a name out of the bucket. But as a bonus, we have an unclaimed prize. An unclaimed pair of tongs. These are a pair of knife making tongs that we made in a previous video. And they have been unclaimed, so we will be drawing an additional name and giving them away this live stream. So it's a bonus. It's a bonus pair of tongs. So hopefully everybody will enjoy that.
Hi, George.
What's everybody saying?
Let's see. Cheshire Grin says, how's it going, dude?
It's going good. Working my tail off.
Let's see, they were able to, somebody had noted that if you're having problems with the live stream, just refresh your page and that should take care of it.
Yeah, okay, good. So that must mean the problem's not on our end. Good.
Brian Neely said, what's with the old man cap?
Well, the old man cap keeps my head warm. That's first and foremost. Secondly, the old man cap was my Grandpa Blessing's cap, and I like to wear it in remembrance of him. He passed away last year, so.
J.G. Clark asked if we're staying warm. Trying to.
No, not really.
At least it's not rainy this time.
Yes, at least it's not rainy and stormy. We can do that, so. Alright, we're almost hot.
Okay.
Alright, giving it a few more moments here while everybody takes and arrives. I hope everybody enjoyed the video on the beam hammer, and I thank everybody who has went out and purchased plans. I thank everybody that's went out and purchased plan bundles. Those help out a lot. They really help out the channel. They help us be able to continue making this a viable thing into the future. So I really appreciate everybody who was loyal, went over there and bought plans in that way. Also, there are t-shirts available for the beam hammer. Jessica's going to model it for you real quick in the cold, so come on around here, Jessica.
I gotta get my jacket off first.
You could have kept it mostly on and just gave him the Superman effect.
Right.
She is dressed. Underneath, just saying. She's wearing the shirt. So
8 layers. So.
Yeah, she's got 8 layers. Let's move her around here. So.
Okay.
Alright, so there it is. The beam hammer.
Yep.
Oh. That's what it looks like. You can pick that up over at Teespring, right?
Yeah, teespring.com/beamhammer. No spaces.
Yep, no spaces, and you can pick yourself up a shirt. That also helps support the live streams and the channel and everything we do.
Yep.
And every little dollar helps, for sure. So
Yeah.
thank you all for all your support in that. Oh, I've got a bunch of other videos coming up where I'm going to be using the beam hammer quite extensively. I'm beginning to really love this hammer. So, you know, I've said that it's not going to stay in my shop, but sometimes I think it's going to make me want to keep it or at least build one like it. So, it's a pretty good hammer. I've got some tooling videos I'm going to be doing underneath it, and some different projects and things using underneath it, but it's been quite a handy hammer right so far. So, what else we got?
All right. Let's see. John Coffey, what is the weight of the brass bar?
Oh, you mean the copper bar?
Probably.
Okay.
You haven't worked with brass lately, so.
So the copper bar weighed out. I got a little extra copper while I was down there, but most of the weight was in the copper bar. It came out to 38 pounds of copper. So I'm not sure what it's sitting at right now. The 8-inch piece I took out and drew out under the power hammer. Anybody that hadn't seen that video under the beam hammer, I took this bar. Can everybody see that fine,
Yep.
hon?
Yeah, it's in focus.
So I took this. This is an 1.5 inches this way and 1.25 inches this way. And so I drew it down to 1.25 inches square bar, like you see here. And this started off as 8 inches in length, and I drew it out to 10.5 inches in total length by the time I got it down. And then this is going to become a copper split cross. Haven't got to it yet. That'll be the start of next week. That'll get to that. I had a really high-end polished bowl that I had to get out today, and so that took its place, obviously. So, hopefully that answered the question. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Any other questions before I get going?
Sure. What the Forge says, if you get the time, I would love to see a video with a list of common chasing tools and a how to make video with the generalization of what each tool does. I am very interested in chasing and engraving. Okay,
I would love to do a video on that. So I've got about 30 some odd chasing tools right now myself. Every time I take a class with Tom Latine, I end up making more chasing tools. And so I pretty much, I copy anything that's in his pail. He likes to keep things in like a little coffee can, and he keeps a whole bunch of them all stacked up and piled it real nicely. And I'll take notes of what he's doing, and before I even start on my project, that's all I do, is I'll spend the whole first day with him, and I'll just make his chasing tools, essentially. And so I would love to do a video on that. And then do a couple projects. I might do something in copper because copper moves real readily and easy, and I don't have to have it hot, or it doesn't take real long to see the result or the effect of the chasing. So thank you for that. I'll see what I can do. That's a good one. It's going to be a few videos from now, but I'll see what I can do. What's up? Anything else?
Yes. Let's see. Oh, Cheshire Grin said, how can I enter to win?
Okay, the way that you enter to win these Tong competitions that we're putting out here are Tong giveaways, or item giveaways you will say, because I'm not always going to do Tongs in the live streams, is I leave a special note. You have to watch the live stream all the way through, because somewhere in the live stream I mentioned the secret catchphrase to put in the comment section down below on the replay. So after the video is fully uploaded and it becomes not a live video anymore, but a video you can watch on YouTube, it's called a published video. As soon as you can go back on the replay and leave a comment, you'll leave that phrase, and that'll get you entered to win, and we give it away the following Friday. At least that's what we have been doing. Hopefully that answers that question. And for anybody new that's coming just in, we are forging a pair of pickup tongs. Just going to mention that again, so this way everybody knows.
Alright. Hola, Jesus. Let's see. On the coffee can forge, what do you use? A rigidizer on the cable?
I have not used in any of my gas forges a rigidizer. Now, I have been told quite extensively by folks that this is bad because the cable, it comes off at high heats and it becomes a carcinogen and it can cause cancer and lung and all this other stuff. and it can get up in the air. So I haven't made any current gas forges, but ones I've made in the past, I never put a rigidizer on there. So one of the options you can do, I believe at Home Depot they sell like a 3,000 degree cement that you can take and put over that K-wool, if you will, and then that will help rigidize it without spending a lot of money. There's also this other thing called ballistics, and Satanite is another coating. You can look those up, Google those online and find those out. But in all my gas forges, I've never put any sort of rigidizer on it. That may be bad health practice. And, you know, in some of it, I work in a very open-air workshop. And the other part of it is I don't sit there and I don't breathe in. I don't put my face near the forge when I'm pulling something out. So that's just...
What the forge says it's really cheap. It's like $20 for 32 ounces on eBay.
So there you go. $20, and, you know, if it saves your life, it's worth it. So most likely when I build another gas forge and I use K-wool, I'll probably use a Satanite coating of some sort just to be on the safe side. Because, hey, I like to live as long as I can. Alright, so we're good and hot. So the first part that we're going to be working on is we're just going to be drawing down the jaw. Now this is just a simple taper. We have already drawn out the reins. I did this on the power hammer. I get this question a lot. You know, did you do it by hand or on the power hammer? I get paid money to put out product. I don't get paid money to spend my day at the anvil. So, when that comes into play, I have a power hammer, so I use the power hammer. Now, if you're going to do this by hand, you can hand draw this out. That is not actually that difficult. It just takes time, and you have to pace yourself. So if you're going to do it by hand, it's probably going to take you maybe about an hour and a half to 2 hours to do a whole tong, both halves, if that makes sense. So part one, so all we're going to do is draw out this part. We've already got the reins drawn out.
Did your blades, by the way. Roy's made one decorative forged door knocker. He did it in a class with Tom Latney.
Yep. Alright, let's go over to the anvil.
Alrighty.
You have to get them close?
Yeah.
And get them on the side angle over there.
Okay.
Just stick with us one moment there, folks, and we will get you moved over to the anvil. One of the things I hope to do in live streams in the future is get some sort of switching thing to where I can have multi-camera angles, but that's going to be a while, as we'll need a fairly sophisticated setup to do a live stream with that.
There we go. I think that'll work.
Okay, you in close? We're going to be about right here. Okay? Alright, so like in other videos, I've already got my marks set out. I've got it as hot as I can. I'm going to use half on, half off blows, and then work towards the front. The hotter you get this, the easier this is to draw out by hand. So just remember that. The hotter you get it, the easier it is to draw out.
Rusty, Roy is using a coal forge. Bangladesh Digital, glad to have you on the channel. Did your blades? I will try to remind Roy about making a door knocker at some point.
Good.
Ulfravita, thank you for the compliment. See what the forge says. So to make the spike tongs, I'm looking at an estimated 2-hour time frame or more for lack of skill.
Yes, that would be a correct estimate. The reason for that being is if you draw out the reins, I plan on doing a video where I do forge welded on reins, but that can get even more complicated. If you draw out the reins, it takes a while to draw out the reins, and it's fairly labor intensive. It can be done, it's just a little more labor intensive. So, I usually, if I'm going to draw something out, and what most people don't know is for 3 years, Well, for 3 years I've had a power hammer, but before then I did all this at the anvil myself, and I usually drew it over the horn. There's other guys, they do it over the edge of the anvil, but we've already talked about that. I like sharp corners on my anvils, not radius, so it's not conducive to that technique. But you know, you could also put a fuller in the hardy hole and use a fuller like that, a bottom fuller, and draw out the piece just as quick. So, you know, it just takes a little more labor intensiveness for any type of tong you're going to make whenever you have to draw out the reins. Or you can spend $3.99 and buy a beam hammer plan and build yourself a beam hammer, and then you can let it draw out the reins for you. There's a shameless plug.
There is.
Alright, so there we go. That's our first heat. We've got that quite a bit drawn out there. Can you step to one side, Jess? There we go. You're in the shading it a bit. Okay. So there you go. That's what we got done in the first heat. Now we're just going to continue drawing this out. Alright, questions?
Alright. Let's see. Some questions about your anvil. What is its weight?
The weight of my anvil is 465 pounds.
And where did you get it?
I got it off of eBay, is where I bought it. And I got it from Cleardown in Georgia.
Let's see here. Corey Shire says the catchphrase, he's putting in a vote for hashtag #PickMeUpTongs.
Hashtag #PickMeUpTongs, huh? Alright. We'll keep that in mind. More questions?
Don Hall says blacksmithing is just a form of old school 3D printing.
I like that. With a much better result, might I add. I'm not impressed with 3D printing. I think they still got another 10 more years to go before they've got that settled where I would want to make anything off of it.
Let's see. What the Forge says, the beam hammer is awesome, but the footprint is a bit big for me. What is the footprint dimensions and the same info on the Helve hammer? Okay,
so you can make this dimension shorter. Everything you have to do is shorten, you just have to shorten everything up. So you can keep the 37-pound ram. I just wanted a longer fulcrum point. I want it to be a little longer of an actual beam, but you can shorten all that up if you need to. The one of the old, revisited Da Vinci cam hammer that I built, that design, I believe it took up like, I want to say it took up 38 inches of space or something like that. It wasn't a lot of space. Don't quote me on that. I know it's in the plans. You'd have to look at the reference of plans on that one. But as far as square footage wise, this one is, I can say, is only about 1.5 feet longer than what the Da Vinci cam hammer was.
Champ Ironwork says, do you ever preheat anvil in this balmy weather?
Nope, I usually don't. I find I do enough work, usually during the day, on the anvil. It gets warm enough on its own, so it's really not worth it. Also, I always go to the same spot on the anvil, so that helps out a little bit. But you're also talking about 465 pounds of steel versus 8 ounces of steel. So it's always going to draw the heat out, no matter what.
Thomas Jewell asks, what's the temperature in the shop? Probably
whatever the temperature of outside is right now. Probably in the 30s somewhere.
Yeah, probably about 30.
So, alright, we got this good and hot. We're going to take another one. And keep reading questions if you got.
Alright. Cheshire Grin says, I did my first blacksmithing project earlier this month.
Awesome, that's good to hear. Glad to have you part of the brotherhood.
Let's see what the Forge says. Thanks so much for the answers. The biggest reason I'm considering the old one is that the motor can be removed and brought inside after work since my shop is my yard.
I know how that goes. Water can be an issue. they also make pretty cheap tarps. So, all right, go to the anvil.
All right.
Good to go. Ready?
Yep.
All right, we're just going to continue drawing this down. Now, for simplicity reason, I'm just going to do this on the anvil surface. You can certainly draw this out if you'd like to over the horn. I'm just going to use the anvil face because my wife conveniently placed my camera right above the horn.
My bad.
That's all right. Leave it there.
Okay.
So all we're doing is just trying to draw this out. Nice and even like. Now, okay, now there's a trick to this here. Okay? One of the fundamental problems with pickup tongs, and most people's pickup tongs, is the fact they try to forge this too thin. Do not thin this too much. You can keep it to the original thickness. Move out of the way, please.
Yep.
Okay. You can keep it to this original thickness of the boss area, that's fine. That's 1/4 of an inch, or 6 mil. By the way, this started off as 25 mil wide, or 1 inch, by 1/4 inch, or 6 mil. So you can keep it that thickness this way, but in this dimension, you have got to leave this area in here thick. If you do not, it has a tendency to want to bend, and it'll flex on you and drop the piece you're working on. So you want these to be fairly stout jaws when you make them, like you see here. This is the shape we're wanting to go for, and you want them to stay fairly stout. Any questions on that?
See, we have some other comments while we wait for that to come in.
Yeah.
Sarah and Mike G. ever forged an anvil from railroad track and rehardened it?
I've never forged an anvil from railroad track. I have made it from I-beam. And to the best of my knowledge, railroad track is not hardened. It's meant to be a tough steel, not a brittle steel. So it's not not that it can't harden. I won't get into that because I just don't know. But it's not hardened to start with. If anything, it gets work hardened by all the years of trains passing over it.
Scott Phelan, we do our live streams Friday night at 7 p.m. pretty much every week.
Every week unless I got a special occasion going on.
Brian Neely said, I did a letter opener this past Saturday from a piece of flat stock.
Awesome. Good for you.
Let's see. Cheshire Grin said his first project had been a letter opener made from a really old railroad spike.
Yep, that's a good project.
For the Honor Forge says, have you ever used a waste veggie oil forge?
No, I have not. Now, I have mixed feelings on those. I would love to experiment with one and make one. I've tried making one in the past. It did not work out. My burner didn't work right. I couldn't get the drip right and stuff for it. But they do get really hot. The one thing I don't like about them is they do put off a lot of noxious gases out of the front end of them. You've got to vent them properly and or have them in a really open area. And so for those, I kind of got a mixed feeling on those. Maybe if I was doing big chunks of steel that I really needed to get hot, like welding temp, I'd do that.
Yeah, For the Honor Forge says that he's considering making one for casting because of the cost of coal in Southern California.
Yeah, that would probably be a good ideal then. No. All right, this is good and hot. Let's take another forging heat here.
Do I need to relocate the camera?
Nope, you're fine. I'm just doing it on the anvil. All right, good and hot. So we want to take and just progressively move down the stock as you go. It's called progressive forging. It's taking little bites with the hammer and progressively moving them down to the end of the piece. A really even and easy way of drawing out material. We're all the way to the other edge of the anvil now, and that should be as long as our other piece. So our other piece goes just a little longer. So that means I need to take a little thickness out. We'll get there. We're going to take one more heat and get a little more of this thickness out of this piece. And that should put us right at the same length as this other one here. Yep. And we should be good. But we're getting close. As you can see. Hopefully. So as you can see, we're getting pretty close here. So this is the one we're working on. This is the one that's already been done. We're just off by a smudging. So we'll take one more heat and get that done.
Alrighty. Uncle Buck's Forge says, "Hi Roy and Jess, just got home, really enjoying all your videos."
Hey, we're glad to hear that, Uncle Buck's Forge. Thank you for being here.
Mike says, "You should build a bellows, you would love one. I like them better than hand cranks."
Yeah? I might do that one day. I've always been interested in that. One of those things on my bucket list to do.
BJ Waters says, "Smidgen equals technical term."
Yes, smidgen. Smidgen, smudgen.
Very precise.
Or a smodgen. A smidgen is smaller than a smudgen, and a smudgen is a lot smaller than a smodgen. Okay? So that way everybody knows.
Herb Page says, "Hi from a very cold Canada."
Hey, Herb Page from a very cold Ohio right now. Probably doesn't compete with Canada, but it's a cold Ohio.
KJ Owens says, "My two kids are watching alongside me. They love coming to the shop with me. They want to know if you can say, 'Hey Rose and Logan.'"
Hey Rose, hey Logan. Good to meet you guys. Thanks for being a part of your daddy's live stream.
Champ Ironworks says, "I truly appreciate Coke Forge Smiths, but just starting out, go gas. Much flatter learning curve."
Now, that can be true and that can be untrue in some cases. So, gas is easier to manage. I will give you that. You pretty much click it on. If you can light a barbecue grill, a gas barbecue grill, you can light a gas forge. That makes it easier. One thing that doesn't make it easier, if you look at my tongs, I have a very small localized heat on the end of those tongs. That you cannot get and achieve in a gas forge without immense difficulty or headache. So, for a beginner that is trying to hold and learn on something, a lot of times you get this big old long heat that's about this long on your piece. This is hot back here, so you got to work with a little longer bar. And then as you're trying to work out here, stuff's bending around on you back here. And then you're constantly having to iron that out. And so as a beginner, it can actually end up hindering you some by not being able to have nice, tight, localized heats to where you want them. Because heat control is one of the hardest things for a beginner to take and get the hang of. I can teach just about anybody to actually hammer something. Most people hit a nail at some point, hit their thumb at some point, smacked I don't know, something. Somebody smacked something around at some point. And so that's fairly easy to teach the hand-eye coordination. The hard part's the heat control.
Champ Ironworks says, "Much better isolated heat, true, but I never pull out a stump that's in the clinker catcher." Did Your Blade says, "How deep is the pan on your forge?"
We'll agree on that one. The pan depth itself is about, well, it's however long you see here. It's about 4 inches deep, but the fire pot itself is about 6 inches deep.
Let's see, there's someone had asked if you watch Big Dog Forge's videos.
Yes, I do. Every time he posts one. I love Big Dog Forge's channel.
Paul's Garage is here.
Hey, Paul's Garage. Good to have you here, Paul. All right, we're good and hot. Let's pull this out the rest of the way here. And you can keep feeding me questions.
Okay. Let's see. BCB5925 says, Roy, when are you going to raise that Champion 400 up about a foot or so you don't have to bend over to crank it?
I don't know. It does get a little annoying, but the way it was manufactured, I guess, I'll just live with it until it wears out.
BJ Waters asked for a recap. Said, sorry, had to wrangle kids. Was it a coal forge that's better for beginners?
I wasn't saying one was better or the rest. A guy had commented that the coal forge, sorry I don't remember you guy, right here off the top of my head, was saying that gas forge is easier for beginners to learn in. I was saying that that wasn't always so in my experience, but I think it's really what you're most comfortable with. If you have access to coal, I suggest you learn in coal first, and it will help you with your learning curve and the rest of your smithing career. I do know that gas forge, like I said, if you can light a gas grill, you can light a gas forge and you can get right on to smithing. And so that can be easier in that respect. So that's the recap of that conversation.
All right. How do you light?
And by the way, guys, I totally appreciate everybody's opinions and what you guys like.
Champ Ironworks.
Champ Ironworks.
Saying you'll learn my name eventually.
You lost the vid?
It says we have 4 bars. It must be YouTube.
Okay, YouTube's having a little thing. All right, are we back? Okay, we're back. YouTube must have been having a thing there because we had full connection bars. So there we are. Those are both the same length. So now, like in the other Tong videos that I have done, now I'm going to take this area here and I'm going to offset it and dress the boss area all in the same heat. So I'm going to do that on both. Then these will get flipped over and we'll adjust them to be pickup tongs.
Right. Let's see. Odessa Woodworking said, so why do you hammer on the two perpendicular sides?
Okay, so why do I hammer on the 2 perpendicular sides? So I'm assuming this is a beginner question or someone not a lot of knowledge on the subject of forging. I'm not trying to be rude there, but I'm assuming that that's a beginner question. So the reason why you have to hammer on both sides of the ironwork, or only 2, is because whatever you do here, it squashes out here. Some of it goes linearly, but it does spread slightly, or wherever you want to go with that. I don't know what that's called, other than linearly. Let's
see. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, when you hit it, the metal spreads as well as lengthens the bar. So you have to correct that spreading by turning it up and keeping it back to its original dimension in order for the bar to grow.
He did say yes, totally a beginner.
Okay, that's the reason why. So if you only keep hitting it on one side, you will get it to grow, but you're also going to thin the material a lot doing that. So you have to turn it up on edge and re-thicken the piece.
Christopher says it pancakes.
Yeah, it pancakes. There we go. I like that. Quotation marks.
George Muse says, what are the 4 dots marked on each tong?
Okay, so those are my layout marks. Now, I did a whole video on layout marks. just go search on the channel for layout, I guess. Metal layout, I think, is the name of that video. And it'll explain all that in depth. But essentially what I do with my tongs is I figure out where my jaws need to be, and then I lay out my marks. And depending on how I lay them out, tell me whether that's going to be an offset, so it's going to be like a shoulder where I'll use half on, half off blows, or if it's going to be a double shoulder. So in this case of these tongs, it was nearly a double shoulder, so that's why you see the 2 marks on the one end. I'm defining where that double shoulder is going to be for the boss, to lay off the boss area. Hopefully that makes sense.
Odessa Woodwork said, like I said, I'm trying to make a burner for a speedy forge. So he's just starting into it.
Okay, cool.
Real Big Swede said, you said it was cold there. Just now we have 21 degrees Fahrenheit.
Woohoo! I don't know what it is here, but it's cold. Not 21 degrees cold, but cold enough for me to be smithing in a jacket, a Carhartt. So.
BJ Waters says, hey Roy, did you check out the White Ox gloves and how was your hand?
I have not checked out the White Ox gloves yet. I'll have to have Jessica make a note of that.
Take note.
She's going to take a note on her notepad here. Actually, one thing you can do is watch this video on the replay, put it in the comment section, White Ox gloves. That way I can have her remember, put attention Roy to it if you wouldn't mind. That would really help me out. I'll check that out. And as far as the hand, it's getting to the nasty, scaly, scabby part. Can they see it?
Yeah. Well, maybe a little closer.
A little closer?
There you go.
There you go. There's all the gory details.
Oh, yeah. Somebody had asked, he's watching with his son, I believe he said. He asked what the worst accident you've had in the shop has been.
Well, this one ranks way up there. That's kind of hard to tell. I have nearly sliced my ring finger off because I was wearing a wedding ring and it got caught and snagged on something in the shop as I was walking by, and it pulled up this meat right here on the... That wasn't too fun. Let's see here. I've welded my ring finger. Notice I don't wear a wedding ring. That's not because I don't love Jessica. It's just because it's dangerous for me too in the shop. I've actually welded that ring finger to the table before.
And there was a hole coming out of the tip of his finger.
Yeah,
or was that different?
I was holding a piece of metal and I was welding like a plug weld. So I was holding like a piece on the back side, and the wire ran right through without sparking. Well, it didn't decide to spark until it hit my finger. So it like poked a hole all the way through my finger. That was a tough one. That one hurt. So I don't quantify them as bad as far as what's the worst. Probably the worst injury that I have that's shop related is, my carpal tunnel syndrome that I've got. So, and that come from poor hammer form, but we won't get into that long discussion tonight.
Hot?
That one's good. That one's good, I think. I'll get them just a little hotter.
Matt at H says he has a silicone wedding ring that he wears to prevent that. We've seen those before.
Yep, that would be a good idea. I need to get me one of those. I miss wearing my wedding ring. I made a steel wedding ring that I'll wear whenever I'm not in the shop. But I need to get me a silicone one. I also thought about getting a tattoo, but I don't have a tattoo on my body anywhere. And so I'm like, I just don't want to start the craze, I guess. You get one tattoo, then you might get another tattoo, then you might get another tattoo. I just don't think I look good with tattoos, I guess. Alright, any other questions?
Let's see. Real Big Swede says, totally new to this. How do you quit the anvils from ringing? He has a big wood stump.
Okay. One thing you can do is put a piece of lead underneath it, or a softer material like leather. You could do like a piece of leather or a piece of fabric that won't catch fire. Maybe like a fiberglass welding blanket or something like that. You could do that and then attach the anvil real securely. The reason why my anvil doesn't ring is because it sits on a solid steel base that has legs filled with sand, and the sand killed the reverberation of the noise. Alright, let's turn it over here. We're going to go ahead and do our set down. So we're going to be right here.
Okay.
Alright, hopefully everybody can see that. Alright, bring out tong number 1. We're going to set it on our punch mark, half on, half off blows, and set that material down. And now we're going to just do our offset and work off that front edge. Hopefully everybody can see that, honey.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like it's in shot there.
It is. It goes all the way over here.
Okay. It doesn't look like they can see how it's forming.
Okay, you'd like me to change the angle.
No, it's okay. It's going to be done before then. So. Okay. Alright, so now you can see how that works out. So that's what we're looking for. So we did our half on, half off blow, and then we went ahead and dressed over the edge of the anvil like so, that front sharp corner, and then we flipped it upside down like so, and then we dressed the back corner back into that radius, and that's what gave us that. So if you guys if you guys need better views of this, you can watch the video that I did on pickup tongs. I did a whole tutorial video on that, but that's how you do it. So we got one done. We'll bring the other one over. You can leave that foot.
Okay.
Just going to bring the other one over. Okay. Good and hot. This one is too. We're going to put it on our punch marks. Half on, half off blows. Again, nothing to it. And we're going to just work down that front corner, putting in our offset at the same time. Just like so. And now we're going to put in the back. Straighten her out. Just like we did the other one. Any questions, Jessica? It's coming in.
Yes. Champ Ironworks was asking about rivets, where you get them from.
Oh, maybe you can answer that one.
Okay.
Jessica does all the online ordering.
I think we bought them before on eBay, and then Blacksmith Supply.
Blacksmith Depot.
Yeah.
You can get them there. So there we go. We got our 2 tong halves now, all nicely made up. Just like so. So in tonight's video, I'm actually going to go ahead and punch the holes for these, as I don't have the drill press set up with power. I moved it out of the way for the power hammer, so I'm just going to punch the holes. So.
Alright, let's see here. Hello, Jessica Owens. Odessa Woodwork says, what type of metal are you using for the tongs?
The type of metal that I use for all my tongs is mild steel. So that's 1018. Get down my stuff. So for punching this, we're going to use a 1/4 inch round punch or 6 mil round punch, but then we are going to drift it to 3/8 of an inch, which I believe is 9 mil. And then I'm just using a soft face hammer that I made in another video to take and strike the tool. I do not use forging hammers to strike my tooling with. You leave mars, especially if you get a tool that is hardened or that has a higher hardness level than what the hammer face is. And then you leave an imprintation on your hammer face, and then that hammer goes and does work with your hot material, and then you leave all these little impressions in your steel. So that's why I use a soft face hammer to do all my driving and drifting work.
And if I've missed anybody's comments, just drop them in again and I'll try to read them out.
Yeah. So how many people are we up to?
We're up to 76.
Woohoo! Woo! 76 people. That's amazing. I think that's almost a new record.
Yeah.
Ain't it? So.
Yep.
Yeah, so we've been trying to get the live stream up to about 100 folks, or just a little over 100. So if you guys want to take a minute and share this around, I greatly appreciate it as well. So it helps out the channel and gives us more viewability.
Yep, some new subscribers sometimes.
Yep, some new subscribers. That always helps out. Which, by the way, we surpassed our 10,000 subscribers. For anybody who was not on our live stream for 10,000 subscribers, that was quite awesome. Had a few jokers jump off the board, jump off the bandwagon right at 10,000 subscribers, and that was heart-wrenching. But it came back around, so it's good. Now we're definitely above. Well, I don't know what we're up to now. It was 200 and it was 10,200 and some odd subscribers. 50 or no 75 or something like that. I think it was 275.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome, and we're glad to have everybody here that's subscribing.
Yeah, let's see, we got some comments. Some people are sharing the stream. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thank you all so much. So let's go ahead and punch this hole real quick.
All right.
We're going to go ahead and do one half first, and we'll go over to the other half. We'll do it as well. So come right out here. Punch this right in the center as close as we can get it. Get that down. We're going to aim for that little fading bullseye. Out goes the slug. And now we're going to go over the round part, the Pritchell hole. We're going to do most of our drifting from the outside. And the reason for that being, like I've said in other live stream videos, is since the punch is chamfered, you want that chamfer to be on the outside of the tong, not on the inside of the tong. And the reason why is if it's on the inside of the tong and you've got it both ways like that, when you go to upset your rivet, it'll twist. It'll allow that rivet to bend or kink over inside between the two tong halves. If the chamfer's on the outside, it creates like a wedge on both sides, and it just pulls the tongs closer together and won't allow it to kink over. Any questions on that?
Let's see, Cytherian said, since you were talking about injuries earlier, I see your fire extinguisher there on the floor. I presume you and others here who have them in their shops has checked against the kid recall.
I have not heard anything about any sort of kid recall. That's
the brand of an extinguisher.
Yeah, that's the brand of, I believe, that extinguisher. So
And we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that. I've been meaning to get a new one for a while. I know you're supposed to have them. Checked out every yearly by a fire marshal, but I haven't ever went through the trouble of doing that. But that's a good ideal. So I'm going to go ahead and punch this other hole here.
Alrighty.
Okay, can withstand it. Good?
Yep.
Good.
Thanks, KJ Owens.
Alright. Go ahead and punch this other hole here.
Len Blacksmith said, I missed that, Roy, about explaining the punching and the outside of the boss area.
Okay, so you have to select what's going to be the outside of your tongs. Boss area. The reason for this being, if you do not select what's going to be the outside, here, let me get a soapstone and I'll explain this a little better. Let me get this hot again too.
Okay.
So stay put.
Okay.
Stay put. All right. Hope I can draw on this handle with the soapstone here. Okay. So say you have your two tong halves here laying up on one another, okay? Now, I'm going to draw this in two stages. Let's say there's two rivet joints in this. I know there's not, but this will illustrate it, hopefully. Can everybody see this okay, honey?
Yes, it's in
Does
focus.
Does it look like it's in focus?
Yep.
Okay, so your punch has a bevel. has an angle to it. So if you put those bevels to where they're on the outside of the hole, you end up with two halves that look like this. This is a cutaway, okay? So when you swell a rivet over in here, it looks like that, a dog bone shape. A very stable rivet hole, okay? And that will hold the two halves together very well. If you get this incorrect, you'll have something that will look...
They say try to stand where the light is so it puts a shadow on the anvil.
Like this?
Let's see, right about there, I think. That should work. Yeah.
There we go. All right. So if you do it the opposite way, what you're going to end up having is something that looks like this. There's a void. If you don't pay attention to it, there's a void in here. And when you stick a rivet down through here to be headed up, okay, it doesn't swell into this cavity, it just kinks. It kinks over inside this cavity because it's got space to move, if that makes sense. So when you apply kinetic energy here, it bends the rivet. And when it bends the rivet, your two tong halves go like that, away from one another. Does that make sense to everybody?
I think so.
That's the reason why I said pay attention to which way that you're punching from and make sure that you're drifting from the outside of the tong.
They say yep.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll drift this out a little bit bigger. This is good and hot, hon. I can get
Okay,
this
go
going.
back down there. All right.
Yep. So, go back over here. All right. Still good and hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and drift from the back side here a little bit. And then I'm gonna go to what is my proposed front side and keep drifting it. Now since I don't have a bolster plate for this, okay, I am doing all my hammering to where I'm hitting to just the off side of the hole. So I'm letting this punch come down through and hitting like this all the way around the hole. What that does is that helps me prevent sucking all the material down and bending it all down into the Pritchell hole. Hopefully that makes sense. If this was a smaller bolster hole, I wouldn't have to do that.
KJ Owen says, why do you not shear at a black heat? The plug that is.
So in the camera, it looks a lot hotter than what it is. So this is at a very dull red heat when I'm shearing this. So this looks a lot hotter to camera.
Yeah. When you first pull out the bar stock, it looks like it's like blazing like the sun, and it's really not that bright.
Yeah. So let me find a piece of 3/8 stock here and make sure this is going to fit. Now that's got worlds of space in there. You can see that's got a lot of knocking around. Everybody see that? Can everybody see how that's got a lot of knock around?
Yeah, it can wiggle.
Okay? So the way we're going to fix that is we're going to just dress this down, this boss area a little bit. And by dressing that boss area down a little bit, that's going to make it a little tighter. See that? It doesn't wiggle nearly as much. So we can just dress that boss area down and close up that hole a little bit. There we go. That'll be good enough. So that half's done. So we'll set that off to the side.
Alrighty.
And I'll go ahead and do this other side now.
The next one?
Yeah, go ahead and make sure it's drifted to the right size. I don't think it is already, but it might be. So we'll take a real quick look. Ooh, real close. It just takes a few pops with the hammer, and this will be perfect. So go ahead and give it a couple taps. We'll address that back. Then we'll see how this fits now. Perfect. So it fits right through there. Hopefully you guys can see that well.
Let me get out of the light. Oh, that helps.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, essentially, here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let this piece cool down. And that hole is going to shrink down and hold my rivet for me so I can put my other half on. And not have to fight it. If it don't fall out first. These are just a little oversized, these rivet holes are. So, it'd be nice if they were a little smaller. I could have stopped welling on it before. And would have been nicer. Take that down.
Marcus says the next part is riveting.
Yeah, the next part is going to be very riveting. Next part will be the most interesting part of the whole deal. Alright, so now that's starting to tighten up on there. But I let the tong cool down and shrink around the rivet there whenever I'm doing this, hot like this. And what that'll do is that'll hold that rivet in place so it's not, you know, wiggling about. This helps with the placement of the other half of the tongs. When I put those on. Like so. See? Now that holds them all in perfect alignment. And I don't have to try to fiddle with putting a rivet in here and breaking it off and doing all that business. So now I'm going to go ahead and upset this piece a little bit. Hold these pieces on. That hole was still a little bit too big. But you guys are going to see all sorts of my mistakes tonight. See? So even a professional can have problems with riveting. Anyways, that's starting to swell up there. This half is way too loose. I should have tightened that hole up a lot better. But that's okay. We're just going to heat this thing up and go with it. And we'll get it straightened out here.
Mary Theodosis says, I appreciate that you carefully explain things. Your teaching being more important than entertaining.
Well, thank you. I always believe that teaching should be more important than entertainment. Some people don't believe so, and that's okay. There's plenty of channels out there they can watch that are very entertaining, and that are not centered around teaching. I kind of have that, I guess, the old man approach, you know, and, you know, the guy that's kind of old and slow and boring and people run away from him when he starts to talk his big yarns about back in his days. Yeah, it's kind of like that for me, but I'm not old.
You got the cap though, right?
But I got the cap. Been there, got the cap.
Christopher Butcher says, Roy, have you ever riveted tongs backwards?
Yes, I have. You don't do that too many times before you learn to check. Always check first. What's real embarrassing is when you do it in front of a bunch of people, like on a live stream. Don't worry, I didn't.
W. Yor says, hi, first live chat ever. Very good, teaching and vids.
Hey, I'm glad to have you here, W. Yor. I'm glad you're on the first live chat ever. Yourself there. So my teaching style, you know, it's been called into question quite a bit across the time that I've been on YouTube. And I'm sure it's probably something that students think in class whenever they take a class with me as well. Is, geez, this guy's a know-it-all. And, you know, I have a very authoritarian style of teaching. So if I know something, I know it, and you're going to have to prove to me that I'm wrong. And that's kind of my approach. And now that doesn't mean that there's not guys I don't look up to and that I take their word for it, but I still take it with a grain of salt till I try it for myself. And but I'm also the type of guy that I will admit when I'm dead wrong about something when I am proven wrong. That's not often, but when I am proven wrong, I will submit.
Tomas had asked how long you've been blacksmithing.
Let's see here. I have been blacksmithing now 9 years. We're coming up on almost 10 years of blacksmithing. Almost a decade. So, I like saying a decade just because it makes me sound all important.
Let's see, somebody had commented that blacksmithing looks expensive.
It doesn't have to be to get into. I do it professionally, so it is a very expensive thing to do it professionally. Because the tools that you need in order to make a substantial income at it, or enough to get by on this world's standards, is quite extensive if you want to be efficient and actually make money. You can do everything at the anvil, which is a hammer and anvil and a good pair of tongs and just a few basic hand tools. You can make a pretty decent income, but in order to actually have a home life and be able to go home at the end of the evening and still be able to pay the rent, you have to start buying some of the more modern equipment like power hammers and things of that nature to help you out in the long run. Especially if you're going to do it any length of time. Alright, I think these are good and hot. I'm going to go ahead and set these up a little bit better.
Alrighty.
Okay, well this is good and hot. I've got a rivet that's kind of going crooked, so I'm going to just straighten it up a little bit. And I'm just going to lightly heat and work these things together. Try to get those sitting on one another there. It is worth your time to take your time at this point to get these right. Do not feel the need to rush this process. Take your time, get it right. Because you don't get another shot at this. If you've got a bad rivet joint, it's just going to be a bad rivet joint, and your tongs are not going to function nicely. So take your time. It's worth it.
Wes Gilsker says, how do you keep from welding the tongs together?
Don't get the material to a welding heat.
Charles Wright said, hi folks, Roy has plans for power hammers online that are professionally drawn.
Hey, thanks for that, Charles.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. Thanks
for the shout out on that.
For anybody interested, go to blacksmithpdfs.com.
Yep.
Let's see, champ.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
So, here we go. We got this pretty much headed up. Now, I am going to go ahead and get my rivet header tool and drive these the rest of the way. Now, one thing I'm going to point out here is because I got a gap in one of those tongs there, one of them tong halves, you can see here there's a little bit, if Jessica will move,
there we go,
and I'll move and get out of the way, there's a little bit of gap between them tongs. Just ever so slightly. They're together, but there's just a little bit of gap there. I don't like that. So the rivet tool should take up that gap.
Here in a minute, I ought to go inside and stoke our fire.
Or you can keep up with the light stream.
Okay.
We'll stoke the fire after.
Okay.
I can even take some of this coal in there. We heat our house with coal, by the way, so it's an ongoing deal. Let me get a rivet set here. Give me some questions, Jess.
Yeah, so we're just over an hour on our live stream, up to 86, 87, somewhere in there. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
This might be a good point for like a short intermission for anybody who's just coming into the live stream, kind of get you topped in on what we're doing here. And
okay. Yeah, so we want to do that real quick?
Yeah.
All right. So tonight, I'm just, for everybody that's here, this is going to be redundant, but for anybody who has just shown up, tonight we are working on a pair of pickup tongs. So we will be giving away these pickup tongs in the next week's live stream that we'll be doing. So I think it's next week. Yeah. Unless next week's not Thanksgiving, is it?
No.
No, it's not. Okay. I'm sorry, my days run together. When you work 10 and 12 hours, they all go to one thing. So, but anyways, so we'll be giving these away in the next live stream, these pair of pickup tongs. We have two pairs of tongs to give away this live stream. One was an unclaimed pair of knife making tongs.
Yep.
So we got everybody's name from previously that was in the knife making tong video.
Yep, that's why you got 48 hours.
Yep.
You got to get with us right away.
Yeah, that's why you got to get with us in 48 hours. That's part of the deal. Okay, and then we're also going to be giving away a pair of bolt jaw tongs. So I'll grab these and show you what those look like. So here's the bolt jaw tongs that we forged in the live stream that we'll be giving away. And here's a pair of my knife making tongs that we forged in a live stream and we'll be giving away. So
maybe we should do the knife tongs now and then save the bolt tongs for towards the end.
yeah, do you all want to do that? Give us a big thumbs up and a yes.
All right.
If you want us to give away the knife tongs. I'm pretty sure you do. Actually, I should probably finish out the heat. These are hot.
Okay, it's hot. Okay, it'll be right after this heat then.
Okay, does everybody want that right after this heat?
Yeah, we've got about 20 yeses.
All right, you got 20 yeses. Okay.
They're still coming in.
All right, we'll give these away just right after I finish setting this rivet the rest of the way. All right, I'm going to come out here. You can catch up. I'm going to use this rivet set I've made in another video. And we're going to create that really nice domed head rivet on there. At the same time, this is going to help to push those two tong halves together where I had that little bit of gappage. So that is good. Get that riveted up really nice. Do a little more on this side. Good. Flip it. A little more here. We're almost done. Let me move that block a little bit better. All right. There we go. Now that actually looks like an acceptable rivet joint to me. So there we go.
Turned out pretty.
So now I'll set these to the side and we'll give away the knife tongs. How's that sound? All right. So anybody got any questions on the riveting real quick before we move on from there? Anybody new to the channel hasn't seen it before?
You weren't using your bolster plates.
Yeah, the bolster plate's here. I was using the bolster block underneath as I was hammering.
Okay. Jonathan Lloyd, awesome live vid. Have you ever thought of selling starter sets of smithing tongs?
I've thought about it a little bit, but unfortunately right now I cannot make the tooling in order to make them economical enough for people to actually be able to buy and afford to buy them. So I can make about a pair of tongs. Right now I can make one pair of tongs in about half an hour, but my shop rate's $100 an hour. So that's $50 for a pair of tongs, and that's just too high for anybody to be paying. And that's what I would have to, that's the work that I would be doing other than making tongs. So I don't make tongs for a living right now. If I can get to a bigger shop eventually and get the tooling to where I can knock out tongs a lot quicker and bring that down to, you know, maybe like $20 or $30 a pair, I'd feel more comfortable offering tongs to people for sale. So right now, I just do the tongs to give away because I love the blacksmithing community. I love all my subscribers here on my channel. You guys are awesome. And, you know, you give us a lot of great encouragement throughout the day. And man, I really needed it this week. There's a lot of guys that come out and commented really good things. Especially you, Charles. I really appreciated that. You messaged me privately. I won't get into that, but I didn't get a chance to talk back to you yet or correspond. But I did read your email, and that really blessed my heart this week. Yeah, especially when I've had several trolls this week really play with my mind, and so we won't get into that, give them any glory, but I just like giving away the tongs right now in these live streams. You guys watch the live streams, you comment afterwards, that helps promote the videos, and that just helps us out as a channel, and so I figure that's payment enough, and I just give away what I make, as I don't clearly need any more tongs. I've got plenty. Hopefully that'll explain that good.
Let's see. All right, ready for the raffle?
All right, we're going to give away.
Drawing.
We're going to give away the knife tongs. Okay, so for anybody that hasn't understood this, you have got to get in touch with us. That means you have got to message us. You have to get in the replay, the comment section. You have to email us something. You have got to get in touch with us. It's not hard to get in touch with us. You can go to Christ-Centered Ironworks at Gmail, right? Or is it Christ-Centered Forge?
Yeah.
Is it Forge? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's Christ-Centered Forge at Gmail, and get a hold of us, but you got to do it within 48 hours, or at least by the next live stream, because there's plenty of people who want the tongs. So this was not picked up by Primordial Geek in the previous one, so we're giving them away in this tong video now. So Jessica, come on around.
I'll come around. My hands are a little numb, but
okay, she's a little numb. So here's my beautiful wife Jessica. You've been listening to her all night.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and pull a name out of this box. Not gonna look at it.
All right. I think I have one.
Oh, all right.
Oh, I had two.
Up.
All right. Herb Page.
Herb Page. Hopefully you're still on the live stream, buddy. You have 48 hours to get a hold of us, Herb. So you won the knife making tongs, sir. So we'll set these aside, honey. You want to give me the quiet answers and watch check on the stuff? All right, people are commenting.
Okay, let me get back.
What do we got?
Let's see, Herb Page. Yep. Alrighty.
Were you there, Herb?
See, I don't see it. Damascus Knife says, dang it. I know you're trying so hard.
I know, Damascus Knives, you're trying very hard.
Let's see, Bob Smith. Love your teaching style, Roy. This is my favorite smithing channel.
That is awesome to hear, Bob. I really appreciate that. I'll try not to disappoint.
Let's see, Champ Ironworks. There's a place that has a beginner set of links with instructions. Great deal, but I won't say who without Roy's permission.
Go ahead. Tell who has a great deal out there. I'm all about helping the beginners. I'm not selling tongs. I'm not sponsored to sell tongs or anything else right now. So yeah, please go ahead. Thank you for the consideration on that, by the way, and not just spamming the comment section. So yeah, go ahead and comment on that. And also, in the replay of this video, if you can comment that place, go ahead and do that. I'll allow you to do that. Go ahead and do that for anybody who's watching that's a beginner. You can do that.
Let's see. Walt Yor says, you have to ignore the trolls. Most do nothing but talk.
Yeah, that's true. You know, one thing I got taught this week, I actually got quite upset at this last one because the guy kind of pretty much attacked me more on a personal level of stuff that really bugs me more than anything else. He pretty much told me I wasn't a very good Christian and told me I wasn't a very good man. And those two things really stick out with me the most, and they really trouble me when, you know, I put out over, 380 videos for frickin' free pretty much. Sorry about the frickin' in there. I'll close that one down. But I put them out there just to try to take and help and benefit the blacksmithing community. And then, and I work like no one else practically in the shop. And pretty much just to get upset about, I put out a video on my opinion about why I don't use rounding hammers. And apparently if you talk about somebody's rounding hammer these days, you're talking about their wife, pretty much. It's like fighting words. And I knew better than to get involved. This guy had been previously fairly active in the channel before and talking and stuff. But yeah, he just, I don't know if he was having a bad day, but he went all after me and he kind of hit me where it hurt. So that, it's really easy to say don't pay attention to the trolls, but we care a lot about our community's opinions of us. And, we work really hard at our channel. And so that's it's a difficult thing. The one thing I can say, though, is it's all the good comments that we really hang on to even make this really worth it to us. Because to be quite honest, what I make on YouTube as far as AdSense is concerned and things, I could pretty much make that by just selling one more extra item a month that I wouldn't have to put in the extra 80 some hours a month that I put in just for YouTube alone. So, 80 hours for $500 or 400 or 300 or whatever YouTube decides to pay me for that month. If a video doesn't get demonetized because, I'm just not family friendly. in that effect, I could just make one item and end up making that much by helping a client out that appreciates the beauty and the work that I do. So, you know, that's one of those things that it's all the good comments and it's the people that show up on these live streams and you guys' constant positive encouragement, us hearing how you guys are succeeding in business and in life. That is awesome, and it's what keeps me showing up every single day and every single week, and that's why I'm here and that's why I'm doing my YouTube channel. So I hope that blesses everybody out there. Sorry, you don't need to get all sympathetic. Let's get this thing done, and
alrighty.
I'll shut up now. Zip the lip.
Yeah, just there's so much support. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you all so much.
BJ,
I'm not reading the comments, otherwise I might tear up. I don't tear. I'm a man.
You don't.
Man don't have tear ducts. While you're on camera. Oh,
Bill reads
all
us,
right.
with success comes hate.
Yeah, that's for sure.
August Ashes asks, what are the dimensions of your shop?
The dimensions of my shop is a 12 by 20 building. So, yeah, I believe that's right. Yeah, it's 12 by 20.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. My previous shop, excuse me. My previous shop prior to this shop was actually a 6 by 10 shed. So, this is a huge step up. It's double the space. So, all right, we need to go to the horn, and we're going to shape the jaws here.
Okay. So I need to scoot back a little?
Yep, you need to scoot back and go to the horn.
Okay.
So where the people can see what I'm doing at the horn. Let me move you all here so Jessica doesn't have to try to figure it out. Sorry guys, got to take you for a little ride. I know this is looking crazy and weird and cuckoo. We're doing our best. Just stick with us here. All right. All right, we're going to pull this out now. And we are going to go over the horn of the anvil. And we're going to begin to shape these out a little bit. Now, you may want to go ahead and give these a reverse bend, like so, back in this dimension. It doesn't really matter. All you're trying to do is keep them even. So wherever you've got the bend started on one, do the bend equally on the other. Can everybody see that okay, honey?
Yeah, I believe so.
Is it showing out okay? All right.
I think so, yeah.
So now we're just going to go ahead and bend these over the horn. No real big secret here. We're just trying to create an arch and get them to come around and point at each other. And this I'm going to probably heat up again so I can get it done a little better. Yep, I'm definitely going to heat these up again so I can get that to look a little more even. But that's, you guys can see how those are starting to shape up.
Let's see. Oh, sorry, Jonathan.
Okay.
Let me read his question. He's asked it 3 times. Roy, what lubricant do you use in the gears of your hand crank blower? Just got one on Craigslist.
I just use a standard gear oil. If you can't find gear oil, just use a motor oil. Any sort of 30 weight or 20 weight motor oil. 20 weight's a little nicer. Like in the summer months, I don't think you'll be doing that much cranking that it matters. 30 weight motor oil will work real good. You can do that. So we'll get these hot again.
Okay.
You can pull them up off there. Look, we take more questions.
Okay. Do I need to keep it where it's pointed at this area?
You can point it at me and then we can take it back.
Okay.
You can pull it out of the area if you need to, make it
sorry.
easier on yourself.
Let's see. Herb Page says I remember calling them tooth pullers.
Yeah, they really do look like tooth pullers. I don't know, they knocked me out when they took out my wisdom teeth, so I couldn't tell you if they're actually tooth pullers or not.
By the way, Herb, you are the winner of our knife tongs. So
I don't know if you heard, Herb, but you are the winner of the knife making tongs that we just raffled.
Yep, so get in touch with us either on Facebook or on our website, blacksmithpdfs.com. In the right-hand side, there's a contact button, and that way we can get your mailing address.
Yep.
Let's see, there's been some questions about why you moisten the coal.
Okay, why do I moisten the coal? So the reason why I moisten the coal is so this way I don't burn excessive amounts of coal. You have to remember you're working with a fuel, so it's just like wood or anything else. Stuff that's next to it's going to catch on fire. So with the coal forge, I wet in the sides of the fire so that coal doesn't burn prematurely before it is in the center of the fire pot. Hopefully that answers it.
Yep. August Ash's Forge says, Roy, what type of coal do you use, and have you ever used anthracite?
I've never used anthracite before. I use a bimutamus coal that I buy at my local blacksmithing club, SOFA. You can go to their website, find out more about them at sofablacksmiths.org. And yeah, you can check them out for that. It's called a Pocahontas coal from Pennsylvania, I think.
Tomas says, I'm a newbie. What are the picker tongs for?
Okay, so pickup tongs. Now, these are used like for everything, but pickup tongs are generally made to take and remove a piece out of the fire, a billet of something, like so, okay, and manipulate it. To be able to bring it out of the fire and set it up like on an anvil or something like that to work on. They are not meant to be forging with. They do not hold a piece of material hard enough or securely enough to be forging with. But it can be forged with for large enough chunks that hold themselves on the anvil. Now something like this, you can use a pair of pickup tongs on fairly easily. But when you start trying to grip stuff that's like a railroad spike or something with them, they get real unwieldy real quick. So they're not really good for the forging bit of things, but they're good for pulling stuff out of the fire. They're good for pulling things out of the fire, manipulating large billets of steel. They're great for that because the large billets of steel have enough mass to hold themselves in place on the anvil and not just jump around a whole lot. But that's the purpose of pickup tongs. That can probably be contested a bunch of different ways, but that's my opinion of them.
Matthew Brummagem said, your forgings are so much cleaner than mine. Tips.
Well, thank you for that first. So some of it comes down to the skill level of the smith, okay? So that's number one. So if you're a new smith, at first you're just trying to take and get the shape of an item, not necessarily get a clean item. But as you progress, you want to casually get better and better and better at that. And where that comes in is tooling. So if you have an anvil that has a chopped up face, I had one for many years that had a lot of gar marks and more marks in it and stuff. It just beat that into the surface of the steel, and it was very hard to come just straight from the forge and have a clean finish. But then the stuff so I'd have to grind or sand on it, then reheat it, and it came out okay. So dimensionally you can forge it right, but the surface finish was rough. Now that I have a much better anvil that has a lot less gore marks and hammer marks in the surface, it allows me to produce a smoother finish. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is having a nice clean hammer face that you don't use by hitting high carbon tools. I don't use this hammer to chop stuff off on hot cuts. I don't use this hammer to punch with or anything else. This hammer only contacts hot steel. So I keep the face really nice and clean and smooth, and that helps produce clean hammer marks when I forge hammer marks. The last tip for good clean ironwork, and I'll try to put this in a fairly lengthy video that everybody loves on my channel. I'll try to do an in-depth video on this. But the last thing but not least is a lot of guys, okay, you need to take and finish out the heat. So there's a finishing heat, and a finishing heat is between a dull red and a black heat. That is where you put in your last hammer blows or your planishing blows. You're not moving the material, you're just simply trying to iron out any little lumpies and bumpies or wrinkles that are in the material or any hammer blows that are left in it. And if you do that at a dull red to a black heat, just in that heat alone, it'll really sheen up the surface and fix them up. All these here have been done. These are all straight off the anvil. I don't know if anybody can see that.
Yeah.
The shine, if you can see the sheen.
Yep.
Those are all straight off the anvil using the techniques that I'm teaching here. So like I said, this can be, this is my opinion. I know there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. I don't skin cats. I don't suggest you do that. But, this is what I have learned from, guys like Peter Ross and Tom Latney and Wayne Apgar and a guy by the name of Dennis Gilkey and, a bunch of other smiths that I have taken classes with and learned from. These are the techniques that I try to teach with this. And they fundamentally come out fairly true. Hopefully that helps. We can finish shaping these dolls now, and then I'll take some more messages.
Alrighty.
Alright, we ready? Okay, get over here.
Hang on.
Alright, let me go back to the heat. She's
sorry. Hands are acting like it's locking up.
Here, you have to, have to loosen it.
Yeah, it was.
There you
was
go.
rough
Alright.
the tip of it.
Can they see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So the only magic to doing these jaws is essentially just to get them to curve around fairly at the same rate and just meet up, really. That's the only deal right there. So as long as they meet up, you go ahead and adjust them in line with one another. So if you see how I'm taking all these little small heats? These have a purpose. All these little small taps I'm doing, they're planishing out hammer blows. And that's what's providing that really nice, smooth, clean finish that you see on all my work. Well, I shouldn't say all, that probably sounds a little facetious, but most of my work. Okay? So now that we got those to shape, you can see this is clean. I mean, this is right off the anvil. Right off the anvil. So that's what you want. That's what you want to try to obtain for an ironwork. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and heat these up. I'm going to work this joint a little bit more so it can open a little wider than, like 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and work out that tong joint a little bit, give them a wire brush and a touch mark, and these will be done.
Alrighty.
Alright, read me some questions or comments, honey.
Okay, Mickey Swift asked if we're staying warm.
Oh, we're trying to.
Let's keep this over here, guys.
Trying to. So I'm getting pretty excited. I've got a blacksmithing class tomorrow that I'll be teaching. Mickey Swift is going to be in that blacksmithing class, so thank you, Mickey Swift, for joining us. That is awesome. I'll be teaching how to do a candlestick holder out of a piece of pipe. So I got all the pipe cut today, and actually after I finish the live stream, I've got all the bases to cut yet, and I've got a lot of work ahead of me tonight. I've got that customer's bowl I have to finish, so I'll probably be up till 1 or 2 a.m. Working. And then I got to be at the club by 8 a.m. tomorrow, so it's going to be a long weekend. But it's good. I get to do what I love, so you can't ask for better than that. Questions?
Chris Lawrence says, what is the largest project you have completed?
Oi, oi, oi. The beam hammer. No, just joking.
Bird bath, if you're talking about artwork.
Artwork-wise, probably the bird bath was the largest project I've done. As far as the biggest or as the most amount of parts, there was a bowl stand, one that I made out of copper. It had silver. It had zinc in it. It had all sorts of different stuff, multi-bases, and it went all the way to Australia for one of my clients. That was probably the largest job as far as complexity that I have done.
Let's see, Chuck Howell says, any way you could do a video making a flatter not using a welder? Would love to have one, but not sure how or what to make one out of.
Yes, I'd love to do a video on that. In fact, I had a talk with a guy the other day. I believe his name was James. He was actually down at my local scrap yard. He's part of SOFA. and knows a few of the guys that I know pretty well. I was talking to him down at the scrapyard, and we were talking about some possible ways of making like hot cut tools and things of that nature. And I've got one on turning a ball peen hammer into a flatter. Now I've got a ball peen hammer that I've turned into a set hammer, and it works really well. And it's just repurposing that, and that way you don't have to figure out those things when you're just getting started. But making a flatter is a fairly simple thing. I'll see if I can't do a really good video on that. A forged one and then a repurposed one is probably the type of videos I'll come up with in the future with that. Thank you for the great video suggestion.
Bob Smith says, love your guys' stuff. Keep up the awesome work.
Thank you, Bob Smith. Will do. And thank you for being a part of the channel. So now all we're going to do is we're just work these Tong just like this. Work that joint free. We've got that good and free now. Doing so, they kind of misaligned a little bit. We'll just give them a tap. Get them back lined up. Looks good. I'm going to take it to the anvil real quick.
I can do that.
Turn it. So now I'll go ahead and brush these. Now this is where I'll say that you wait until it's at a non-scaling heat. This right here is at a dull orange or a bright red, and this is the exact time to brush your steel. Brushing before this just produces more scale. It does not produce a good clean finish on the steel. So you want to brush it at this heat right here, and it'll shine up like a new penny for you. And I'll have to tighten this rivet up a little bit, but they're pretty much there. So I'll go ahead and put my touch mark on them, and those will be done.
Alrighty. Yep, somebody said make sure you don't forget your touch mark.
Yep, I won't. Thank you for that.
Real Big Sweet says, do you put beeswax on your works?
No, usually my finish is Rust-Oleum clear enamel is the finish that I put on most of my ironwork. If I do a traditional finish of some sort, I'll usually use like a coconut oil or a food grade oil, and that'll be the main thing I use.
Good night, August Ash's Forge.
August Ash, good to have you here. All right. So I got my touch mark on there. We got these all good to go. Might be some little tweaking here and there. We'll have to do at a later date. We'll try them out, see if they hold. Yep, there we are.
Alright, or we'll take a look for your email.
There we go. Who was that?
Herb, he is saying he sent the email.
Okay, awesome, Herb. Alright, where did I put that bolster? Here. I got to tighten up this rivet joint just a little bit. Sometimes you'll find when you work the rivet joints loose that they loosen the rivet a little bit too much. So you just go back to your bolster, and there, that gave it the perfect tension. Beautiful. I'm happy with those. But can everybody see the surface sheen on those? See how they shine in the light? Mm-hmm. That's how you know you've got a good clean forging. That starts with a nice clean anvil surface. That's with a nice clean hammer surface. And that's using the most of the finishing heat. So that's how you produce really nice clean forgings. It's not a secret. It's just taking stuff one step at a time, okay? And applying each technique that I've taught or each technique that somebody teaches you. It doesn't have to be me necessarily. Just walk a mile in their shoes and learn each technique and take it as it comes to you. Some techniques will work for you, other techniques won't. You guys just have to take and apply what works for you and don't apply what doesn't work for you. I encourage you to try it though. Try this technique if you can. Can they see me?
Yep, they can see you.
So those are done. So with those being done,
Alrighty.
We need to think of the slogan. The secret sauce, the secret language we're going to use, the secret, whatever you want to call it. what that won't be so secret.
Throw your suggestions
Yeah,
in
throw
there.
up your suggestions right now in the comment section what we should have our catchphrase to be.
Oh, somebody was asking about your big block right there. That big steel block.
Oh, this big steel block. Okay, well, some people start commenting on that. I'll talk about it. So, I was going to be contracted out to do silver work for a living, and I kind of got it in my head. I needed it. At the time, I didn't have a very nice, clean anvil face, and silver work, you want a really nice, polished anvil face if you can, with a really nice, polished hammer, and you want to keep them that way. And so this started off really polished, but this is a 300-pound block of steel standing straight up, and then it's hard surfaced to be like an anvil. And then I cut in dovetails, just kind of fabricated dovetails, to eventually drop in different type of horns and stuff for doing vessels and different things. So hopefully that answers that question there. So what we got, honey? For
all right, let me go towards the top and let's see here. We got Tooth Puller, Meat Pie, I Want Sheen. He's a pickup artist.
I want Sheen.
I Need a Pick Me Up. Tooth Puller sounds popular.
Yeah?
Have to pick yourself up. Passphrase, pickup line. Roy's a pickup artist. These aren't calipers.
I like that. I like that. These aren't calipers.
Crab claw. Gotta iron out the iron. Hashtag tooth puller. Slogan should stay warm.
Yeah, should stay warm. You know what? Let's go with tooth puller. I think that one's easy to remember. Just do hashtag tooth puller or tooth puller or whatever funny comment you want to come up about tooth puller. Oh, and a real funny story about that real quick. You all know that I like to tell stories. So, eBay will not eBay, I don't know where I'm at. Thinking about where I bought the anvil at, apparently. So, YouTube will flag any comment that they think is derogative in a way, so to speak. Like they'll flag it and give it to us for review as spam, right? And so the last one where we were getting so many comments of, you're a nut, right? Like there was like 38 comments in our reported file that we had to approve. In the last video, it was hilarious. It was like that was the most amount of comments we had to review ever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you're a nut. So we'll see how they do with tooth puller. Let's do that. So that's what you have to comment down in the replay section of this video to get entered to win these in the next live stream. And then I'll be gladly to take and give those away. So, on that note, let's go ahead and do the giveaway of the bolt jaw tongs.
Alright, let me toss out all these old names.
Well, are those all the old names?
Yes,
those
are
okay.
the old ones.
Alright, so this is for all the people who commented,
That Roy's
you're a nut, or I'm a nut, so to speak. And this is for this pair of bolt jaw tongs I made in the other live stream, or last Friday's live stream. Jessica's getting them ready. Come into the view, honey. So maybe we should flip it around, and so this way we can read people's comments and stuff.
Yeah, that might be good.
Okay, let's flip it around. Let's flip it around. Hold on, guys.
I'm gonna stand by the fire.
Guys and gals, let me
You get that started.
flip it around. Hey there. All right, we're gonna take you for a ride again, guys. Yeah, Jessica does look so cold. She's at the fire right now. Hold on. Sorry, our filming's a little janky, ain't it? Let's get this tooken up here. Jessica likes for us to be looking down on the camera, apparently.
I guess so.
Oh. Alright, we got you all up here. Yep. Hashtag tooth puller. Make sure you do that on the reply of this video, the replay of this video. So after the live stream's concluded and the video's uploaded as a video, reply in the comment section down there. So, Damascus knives, thanks for that. Yeah, they do warp. The type of stuff I do isn't too critical for the belts, so I don't worry about too much. Those have been out here for probably, well, I really go through them too, so thank you for that. The thin ones, you're right. Those thin ones, like the real fine grits, they're like corkscrews. They're really annoying, so I keep most of my belts inside. Those are just my like day-to-day drivers I use, so you're very welcome, Chuck Howell. So, alright, without further ado, I know everybody's been staying around here. So for these bolt jaw tongs that we made in the last live stream video, we're going to be giving these away. So, all right. Pull good. You got it, one?
I think so. No,
no, you got two. All right, she's fishing.
Okay. Oh. I saw the name. All right. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Paige. I'm glad you think it's awesome. All right, what do we got?
Two. Okay. I'm grabbing one with my other hand now. That's my.
All right, I think I've got one.
Did you get
one?
Okay, I think
all right.
you're good.
Here, we're gonna flip it up here. Let's see who this is. This is Michael.
I think I.
Rodriguez.
You better turn it around.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
Rodriguez 373.
Yep, Michael Rodriguez 373. I was the other LOL, VJ Waters said. That's probably the wrong one. Hey, I'm with y'all. Hey, guess what? If Michael Rodriguez 373 doesn't claim within 48 hours, these will be offered in the next live stream. So, you guys might have a chance. Mark S. I love it. So Michael Rodriguez, you got 48 hours to claim your prize, son. Otherwise, we are going to take and give it to somebody else next live stream.
Yep.
So that's how that works. So that's awesome. That's your alias, Jonathan? That's hilarious. Oh. Yeah, hopefully you won't claim it. That's so funny. There's so many people out there that don't like Michael Rodriguez right now. You guys are great. The mic part is right, yeah. Well, unless you got another channel with Rodriguez 373, you missed out on that one. But anyways, yeah, we greatly appreciate everybody being here, part of our live stream. We appreciate all the 60 thumbs up that we have here. We thank you all for taking and sharing everything that you have done. That is absolutely amazing of y'all. Thank you at the Forge for that. We appreciate all the compliments that we get daily. And, we even appreciate some of the constructive criticism here and there, when it's constructive and not just trying to beat me down for being an okay guy. So, but yeah, it's definitely in the 30s. But yeah, we definitely appreciate everybody. We really do. We mean that in our sincerest opinions of everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and the beam hammer. Thanks everybody who bought the beam hammer plans. We appreciate that too. Yep.
That's very awesome of anybody who bought the beam hammer plans. If you haven't done it yet, that's a great way of taking and helping and supporting us. If you want to do that, it is a good hammer. You're going to see a lot more videos with this coming up. That's one thing that I get asked about a lot here recently is what is my plans for the beam hammer. And so my plans for the beam hammer right now as it sits, I'm going to use it to shoot some more YouTube videos of it so you guys can see how it works and everything like that. And then my goal is to give it away to another YouTuber. There's a guy that got in touch. I kind of heard some of his story, and I'm not mentioning any names yet because I kind of need to get with him first and make sure that it's okay to give him a power hammer. But that's going to be my plans to just give away the power hammer to another fellow blacksmith on YouTube. So, but I have to take and get a hold of him first and make sure that that's kosher with him. So, not everybody would like that, I guess. Well, I don't know who wouldn't like to receive a free power hammer, but, who knows? Some people are weird like that, so. But yeah, that's my plan. I build these things. I try to help guys out as much as possible. I certainly don't need another power hammer in my shop. I got the one that I've got. I'm actually probably going to be building another one, a lot bigger. And then who knows? Maybe I'll give that one away or something. If I don't give stuff away, I have to start a museum of blacksmithing in my shed with all the stuff that I do. I'm just not interested in doing that. So, I plan on, supporting as many blacksmiths as I can to help out that I can. And I hope that my knowledge and my teaching will, inspire guys to go out there and do better for themselves. So, let's see here. If Michael doesn't claim it, it goes to the next live stream and we give it away and we draw names again for whoever commented in this live stream after the replay. And, you know, that's how it works.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's why we had 2 drawings today.
Yeah. You like the small power hammer, wink wink, huh? Real big sweet. I love that, dude. Oh. Yeah, I'm sure everybody would love a power hammer. You know, unfortunately, I can't manufacture them all for free. So, you know, this one's taken a lot of time to build. It took a lot of excess parts and materials because I don't quite know where I'm going. Where I'm going with it when I'm designing these things until I figure it out at the end. So, you know, this whole thing's probably cost right around $1,200, almost $1,400 to take and get figured out, build, pay, all that other stuff, you know, and things. And, you know, I mean, that's a kind of a drop in the bucket, so to speak, I mean, it definitely hits the finances, but, you know, it's worth building. It's worth building. I was one of the guys, if anybody doesn't know my story, and I'll try to shut up after a little bit, but, you know, I was one of the guys that, you know, I was always looking for a power hammer, and everybody who had a power hammer always like, well, $3,000, it could be yours. And, you know, at that time I wasn't getting a lot of help from other guys, you know, I mean, I even tried to see if I could set one up on payments. That's a big no-go. Nobody will give you one for payments on a power hammer. I'm like, man, I'll pay it off in a quick, you know, had half of it, wouldn't work with me. So, you know, I kind of got really bothered by that, and that's why I started designing my own power hammers and home-built ones. And then I said, you know what, maybe that's a great way of doing that. And then, you know, and then it's like, well, maybe I can make some money at it. You know, maybe I could sell some plans for my, you know, big ideals here. So I definitely didn't expect it to go as far as it has. The original Da Vinci cam hammer has, I believe, 72,000 views, and the revisited design has
84,000.
Yeah, it's like 84,000 views, and that's just mind blowing. That's crazy. So, you know, that's pretty cool. Champ Ironworks, the power hammer plans are only $3.99 for this beam hammer that I just built. We'll scroll you all over there. That one there. You know, yeah, just $3.99 is all it is for the download. You can buy the whole power hammer plan bundle without trying to sound like too much of a salesman here. You buy a whole power hammer plan bundle, which is every power hammer plan I've ever designed, for $50.
Yep.
You know, and then we've got we got a lot of other tools there that I've designed and built, and you know, that's the way we are trying to make this channel a self-supporting thing. So by giving everybody else something else. So close review. Mickey Swift, good night. Yep, we'll see you in the morning. That'll be good. So yeah, and I've got it. Yeah, it reminds me, I gotta get to that. But yeah, I'll take you all for a really close, quick inspection of the beam hammer. You can watch the video of it as well. There it goes. I can't get it any closer than that. If you want the plans, you can go over to blacksmithpdfs.com. After this video is over, we'll try to put a link in the description for it, and you can go check it out there if you have any interest. So we're getting a couple questions about it. So cost for all the materials, I estimate between $400 and $800 to take and build the hammer. That's because I don't know where your locality is. I don't know what your access is to steel and things of that nature. On the low end, you should be able to build it for about $400. You should be able to get it for cheaper than that if you got things like an electric motor or a pulley already, or some tractor top links laying around, or some extra steel laying around your shop. You can build it a lot cheaper than that. So, good night, Thomas. So, I'm just trying to catch up with everybody. So, anyways, so that's it. Like I said, we've got you guys can go watch the actual beam hammer trailer. It's in the playlist section of our, channel here. You guys can take a look at that. If you guys have any other interest in that, yeah, Steve S., that's in the trailer video of it working and forging steel. No one else has done forged flip-flops yet. That craze I guess it's not going to take off. Yeah, the forged flip-flops flopped. Roy was the only one that made forged flip-flops, apparently. So, anyways, maybe some other people will get in on that. So, yep. Her page, lol. I know I was the only one who ended up doing that. All right, for the Honor Forge, I'm going to hold you that. You better make them soon. So,
hashtag on Instagram.
Yep. Hashtag it on Instagram. So, Bill, have a good night. It's good to see you here. Glad you were here. Thank you all. Thank you everybody for being here. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Remember to comment in the comment section after this video is over with and it's fully rendered as a video of, what was the thing again? I lost my mind.
It's escaping me now.
Tooth puller. Hashtag tooth puller. That's what you have to comment as the phrase in the comment section to get a chance to win these pickup tongs in the next live stream video. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I'm going to take and I'm not going to go to bed. I've got a lot of work to do to get ready for my class tomorrow. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for your support. And most importantly, thank you all very, very much from the bottom of my heart for all your great comments throughout the week and the month. I really do appreciate you all. I read every single one, even if I don't get back to them. I really do appreciate you. Thank you all for watching. God bless you all, and we'll catch you next time. So, bye.
Bye.